Hi folks, just picked up my bike from the dealership after the 600-mile service. Um, Looks like they charged me $367.06. Let's see here, what do we have? First service per KTM specs, oil filter $9.49. Cross power 4T 10W50 $22.95. Let's see what else they did. So they have a whole big giant list of the different things they go through: the electrical system, the controls, the engine, fuel and intake, inspect and clean, cooling system, drive system, brake system, tire wear at 95%. Yep, only had 700 miles when I took it into them. Check for looseness, suspension, front forks, inspect for cracks, leaks, and damage. Check torque on all critical fasteners, shock absorber assembly, inspect for leaks, check all linkages, bushing for excessive free play, torque all fasteners. The torque all fasteners is the thing that I was most concerned about because, like I said, after just one day of riding, I came back and, I'm a gearhead, so I put a wrench on a bunch of stuff and there was just so many loose things. I understand, the dealers are, they're kind of banging these things out and they don't want to over torque anything, probably afraid of stripping threads and doing damage and stuff like that. And they know that things are going to settle in. But engine general 1050, 2.8 liter clutch hub torque. These are all the torque specs and stuff like that. Cooling system, engine coolant type, ethylene glycol. Engine coolant capacity 1.2 liter. The brake system .4, front brakes, front wheels, front axle pinch bolt torques 11.1 Newton meters. Front axle torque 33.2 foot-pounds. Rear wheel, I do still have the OEM tires and everything on there, so they check those. They check the rear axle torque 66.4 foot-pounds. Front suspension, front fork left, front fork right, front fork left, fork oil capacity 15.89. Front fork oil right 15.89. Fork oil level 108 millimeter. And that's the left, and then the right 108 millimeter. Triple clamp bolts and upper torque 11.1 foot-pounds. Triple clamp pinch bolts, lower torque 8.9. Move down to the rear suspension. Upper mount torque 59 foot-pounds. Rear shock lower mount 59 foot-pounds. And so basically, that's kind of one of the things I wanted to take it in for. I wanted them to really go over everything, and pleasantly surprised, the individual that worked on my bike turned out to be a guy I've actually been riding with for many, many years. And so I was really happy that he was the one that was assigned to my bike. I didn't know he worked at that dealership. He just started, so I was really happy that he was the one that worked on my bike. Over to the bike real quick. So I wanted to put my GV top box on like I always use. Unfortunately, the base plate is not going to mount up to this rack that I bought and I put on here. I'll have to order a different base plate. Unfortunately, I don't have the time. I've only got a couple of weeks left before I head out on my ride. So I pulled out one of my Nelson rig bags. And that's this bag right back here. This is one of the Nelson rig bags that I've used on a few different motorcycles. It's got a lot of expandable capacity and stuff. Yeah, I know it looks like shit. That's because it's been through the ringer and back. But it always holds up. And the beauty of soft luggage, of course, is that when you tip this thing over, there's no mounts to break, there's no nothing. Which has been a problem in the past, and that's why I tend to lean towards soft luggage. You may choose to do something different. And of course, I do have my Martin backpacker guitar on there, just like I said. It's just as simple as a couple of bungees, and I always fasten it to the top box or to whatever the rear bag is that I'm using. And if you look at it from the very front, and you look at the mirror width, and then you look at the guitar width, the mirrors and the hand guards stick out about the same as the guitar, if not a little further. I know right now, because of the angle of the camera, it's a little bit different, but I can tell you I've measured them. I've had this on many bikes. I've measured them, and it does fit quite well. And I don't mount it solidly. I always mount it a little bit loosely. That way, if I flop over, it'll just, you know, spring out of the way or do something. But I have, like I said, on the last video, I put several bikes down with that guitar mounted onto the back, and it's still going strong. It's living to fight another day. As far as the performance after that last service today, I love the fact that the brakes have really bedded in. The brakes feel really good on this bike. It's really great now that I can rev it past that 6,300 or whatever it is red line, and the motor starts to make pretty good power, about 7,000-8,000 RPM. It starts to really turn on the juice. I spent a lot of time in lower gears today that I don't typically spend a lot of time in. So I was pretty pleasantly surprised with that. Motor feels smooth. Shifting is pretty decent, running the speed shifter. But in all honesty, I've speed shifted every bike I've ever owned, whether or not it had a quick shifter. So just a quick shot, a little bit of the luggage that I'm taking with me, and of course that factory KTM tank bag and that luggage. The Nelson rig bag that I have on the back, it's got a lot of compartments and stuff, but unfortunately, of course, the main compartment is not as big as I would like, but it still does hold a laptop, and I've used it that way before. I was just hoping for something with a key, because I know we're going to be staying in hotels and stuff, or some of the shady places where you stop and you get gas. It's nice to be able to, even when you go into a restaurant and you're having dinner. Now, I know the bag looks really funky right now. That's because it's totally empty. Once I fill it up, the shape fills out and everything. And yeah, that bag looks pretty rough, and that's because I've used the living crap out of it. Again, I would like to reiterate that these things are just my opinion. This is just my rig, how I set my rig up. There's nothing here written in stone. The beauty of this is a motorcycle is like a canvas. You paint it how you like it. Your gear is also kind of the same way. I got quite a bit of heat because of my hiking boots. Oh God. People seem to lose their minds. I don't think that they quite understand. I've been doing this a long time. I have crashed motorcycles. I've had life flights. I've done all of that stuff before. I am a casual rider. I'm not out there racing people. I'm not running single track at Warp 5. I'm not banging handlebars. I'm not doing anything like that. I do a little bit of commuting, of course, in city traffic, and I get it. People are always, worried about the idiots that you have to drive around. And believe me, I get it. I totally get it. But the fact of the matter is there's a reason police officers wear short sleeve shirts when they're out riding. And that's because if they can't be comfortable, they can't stay out there on their whole shift. And that's the same thing with boots, jackets, pants, all that stuff with me. If you're not comfortable, you're not going to stay out there very long. And I am a long distance rider. I like long distances. So enough of that. Hope you people have a good Saturday night. And I am totally stoked for this ride. Until next time, keep the helmet side up.